1, 2, 3, 4.
Screen time, screen time, screen time, screen time.
It's my screen time too.
Screen time, screen time, screen time.
Hello, and welcome to It's My Screen Time Too, the podcast where we review the programming the other critics ignore, stuff made for kids. Find out what to watch for family movie night, what to avoid altogether, and what you'll want to watch alone voluntarily. I'm Deborah.
And I'm Katie.
And I have 3 kids who are 15, 12, and 12.
And I have 2 kids who are 9 and 6.
Welcome to a Screen Time in the News episode for the week of February 12th, 2025. This week we're discussing a January 22nd article from the Wall Street Journal by Sarah Randazzo, Matt Barnum, and Julie Jargon with the headline, "Screens Have Taken Over Classrooms. Even Students Have Had Enough."
Before I summarize this article, I need to just bring up what an awesome name Julie Jargon is. Isn't that great?
Yes.
All right. So we love an article that bolsters our own opinions. And choosing this one is my Valentine to my dear co-host, Deborah, because I know how she feels about screens in the classroom, and I can't wait to talk about it with her. So, as we all know, as parents of kids, schools have been adopting technology for teaching since the 90s, but obviously the COVID-19 pandemic really supercharged things. And according to this article, students spend an average of 98 minutes or 20% of their school day on school-provided tech devices. And this is according to an analysis of 2.8 million students in 344 school districts. The data on the value of all this tech in schools is pretty mixed. So some studies showed that students retain information better when they take notes by hand, and also that their comprehension is better when reading on paper versus a screen. There's also a flip side saying that the tech is useful for things like translation for non-native English speakers, changing fonts for dyslexic students, and also a big one is computer access for low-income students and families. The article also talks about how the findings claiming that tech drastically helps student performance are often produced by the tech companies themselves with no independent data to back them up. It also talked a lot about how the increased tech use during the school day clashes with parents' ongoing efforts to limit screen time for their kids. Unfortunately, I have to say the headline talks a bigger game than the article ultimately provides. There were only a couple of quotes from students themselves bemoaning the tech use. It was mostly, again, focused on an analysis of performance and the data behind having so much tech in the classroom. Deborah, did this article bring you joy because it reinforced your own ideas about tech use in the classroom?
Yes, but I mean, I don't really want to be right because it seems like this is a phenomenon that's not going to go away anytime soon. So I would have loved for you to provide an article that proved me wrong, Katie.
Oh, you're telling me you don't like my box of assorted mixed Valentine's chocolate because they're all that weird coconut paste. Have your kids expressed any dissatisfaction to you at the tech in their classrooms?
I think they've been annoyed with slow Chromebooks or Chromebooks that aren't connecting to Wi-Fi. They don't like it when the technology is working, which happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's like a feature of technology. It's not like we should all just plan for like it to not work 10% of the time.
Right.
But they don't really complain about the actual. No, actually, that's not true. So they're using whatever they use to turn assignments in. I think they've had issues, all 3 of them at one time or another with it's probably user error, but it could be like something didn't connect and then they didn't get credit for the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is something that I never had to encounter as a middle school or high school student because I was not even typing. I was like turning in handwritten papers.
Right. Yeah. I guess we haven't made it to the age group where we're dealing with turning in a lot of assignments online. For us right now, it seems to be a lot of apps. And the article talked explicitly about the app iXL. Have your kids had any experience with
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Yes.
That was a little scary because our school has like gone all in on IXL. And essentially, the article was saying, well, there isn't really any definitive data that this helps. It doesn't seem to hurt, but the company is just free to be like, this raises test scores by 10% and not provide any data to back it up, I guess.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, the first question that comes to mind is like correlation or causation. What schools are you in?
Mm-hmm.
What's boosting those test scores? But I don't even think they're actually showing any data to prove that.
And it is like this IXL app is so all over the place. Listeners, if you have younger kids and you haven't used it, I am almost positive that it will become a feature of your kids' school life as they get older. I don't know. It is very true that I would rather not feel like I have another screen time piece to monitor.
I know it seems like how is that better than like your classic addition subtraction worksheet?
Right. And I guess it's something that like teachers can track better, and maybe kids are more likely to want to sit down with an app as opposed to sit down with a worksheet and a pencil because that's just the world we live in now, question
Mm-hmm.
mark. I don't know, which doesn't speak to the whole piece of this article that supposedly talks about students' dissatisfaction with the tech use in classes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess that brings up my kids did used to have to do like this grammar app that they hated during distance learning in an elementary school. And it was like a requirement that they just didn't like. But like, I'm not sure if it was the app itself or if it was just the subject because grammar has always gotten a bad rap. Like, that is a pretty dry area of the curriculum,
Ah.
whether you're doing it on a computer or in a book or workbook or whatever.
And it's harder to gamify than math, right? Like math lends itself to a game format. Not that
Hmm.
IXL, the app we were just talking about, is a game, but like there are tons of successful math games that are used in schools, and kids do find some level of enjoyment in doing their math work in that way.
Hmm.
Are there any apps or programs that your kids have used that you actively like or have noticed are good, or are they just old enough that you can kind of take a hands off?
So I think when I was a student their age, when you did like a more in-depth project, it was always like a report or like a diorama.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now they are doing Google Slides
Mm-hmm.
or PowerPoint or whatever they're using. And I think that's good. It's fun. They get to take information from other places, put it all together just like they would in a written report, and then they can add like fun art and graphics. And that seems like a good one.
Yeah, it's nice to have different presentation means for a project. I'll go with you there for sure.
Hmm. And that one also lends itself well to group working in a group.
That's true. That's true. Theoretically, that is something that all this tech use would encourage. Although my kids are just really obsessed with the chat function on Google Classroom.
Oh,
And maybe it's because they don't have like phones or they're not texting each other in any other way yet. But like if the chat feature is open on Google Classroom, they find such glee in being able to say, "Hey."
hmm.
So we've talked about this a little bit in the past, and I have a feeling I know the answer based on our discussions, but do you find yourself further restricting screen time based on the amount of screen time you think they must have already had in the classroom? They can't give us one more thing to obsess over, right? Like, we can't know. You can't ask me to also be factoring that into my like intense mental calculations about how much screen time is appropriate.
No, no, I don't think we need to. I mean, when you know how at the end of a term or the end of the school year, like kids will watch a movie
Mm-hmm.
in class instead of doing like real real learning.
Right.
I don't think we need to shorten like the amount of TV time they get to make up for that. Like 40 minutes they spent watching a wildlife documentary in science class.
Exactly, exactly. And how ultimately unjust would it be to be like, you cannot play video games. You made Google Slides today at school.
Right.
That just
Right.
seems so unfair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this article from the Wall Street Journal, a publication I know that you don't often read, I wanted to share it with you to confirm your own priors, which it sounds like it did, but I don't know that it ultimately brought us any new understanding of this problem, such as it is.
Yeah, I know. And I think when we talked about this before, I think my real beef was with the Chromebooks
Yeah.
because they're not actually teaching kids how to use a real computer.
Well, does that mean it's worse? Because we have iPads, which I feel like is worse.
It's kind of the same problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's catch up on what our kids are watching and what we're watching with them. Anything fun on the TV at your house?
We've had such a long break. I feel like we've watched so much fun stuff. But last night, we did sit down and start watching The Secret Garden.
Oh,
And I had never even considered it for my kids because I am, I guess, just in the gender trap. And I was like, they're not going to care to watch this movie about this little girl. But they seemed pretty entranced. And we obviously haven't finished it because you know how movies go. You got to chop them up. But it was really fun to revisit it with them and see like kind of their wonder at a lot of the things that I found wondrous as a kid.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. How about
I
you?
had an opposite experience recently. We were looking through the Disney like list of comedy movies and Land of the Lost with Will Ferrell popped up. It's a 2009 movie, so it wasn't on my radar back then, and the trailer made it looked hilarious, and it was not.
No,
Like we quit like 35 minutes into it. It
it's
was
really
bad.
bad. Yeah. Did you watch Land of the Lost when you were a kid, like the TV show?
No.
Okay, this Land of the Lost was one of those shows that I really loved, but like I as a child I couldn't get a handle on timing or like channels, so it was just like this wonderful gift that I would occasionally catch.
Sure.
So when this movie came out, I was super excited to see it, and it is just to me the perfect example of why Will Ferrell isn't always for me because sometimes he goes off and does projects that just don't make sense to me on a comedy level.
Yeah, it was not good. Would not recommend.
Yeah.
And then we've been watching Mole.
I don't know this one.
It's like a survivor type reality show.
Okay.
And the host is Ari Shapiro from
Okay.
National Public Radio.
Get that money, Ari.
So that hooked me. I
Uh-huh.
think he's also like in a band. He's got a multifaceted career. So what else is on your adult or grown-up screen time watch list?
You're going to laugh because it took me so long, but I'm finally watching Severance. So I'm about halfway through the first season. And I know at this
Oh, nice.
time, like the second season is practically half done. I'm kind of glad I waited so long because I didn't have to have the, 3-year break that other people did between seasons.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I took a strong stance against it and refused to see it for so long because I am really enjoying it.
That's awesome. There's so much on our watch list, and we have not been watching anything
Wow.
because I don't know, I've been more into reading books, and there's so much sports on TV right
Oh,
now.
yeah. Good point.
But I'm really looking forward to the White Lotus.
When does that drop?
I think sometime in February.
Okay.
And then I think there was another season of The Diplomat.
I think we got the second season. It's out already.
Okay. Well, it's on my
Yeah.
watch list. I haven't watched it yet.
It was good.
Second season of Severance is on our list. I don't know when I'm going to have time to watch all these shows, though.
Yeah, right. It's too bad that you enjoy reading books. Man. Thanks for listening to this Screen Time in the News episode. what's your take on tech use in the classroom? Send us an email at myscreentime2.com to let us know. If you enjoyed our show today, please recommend it to one friend you think would enjoy it too. We love growing our community for sanity and screen time. Never want to miss our up-to-the-minute thoughts about screen time? Head on over to our website at myscreentime2.com, where you can subscribe for updates and never miss a new episode. Tune in next time for more real talk about the movies and TV we watch with our kids because we have to and sometimes because we like to. Bye!
Bye.